are heading to the semifinals.
Let's see. Driving to the foul line and the paint. Lays it in. Sims crossover left to right. Gets into the paint. Layup. Good.
To Jones. Throws it up.
No good. Game over. And the Fever are moving on.
I try to give myself grace. Everybody says give yourself grace. It's so hard for me to do that. At the end of the day, it's my fault, and I let everybody down.
The WNBA just witnessed something nobody saw coming. Brittney Griner sitting on the bench crying, while a 23-year-old completely destroyed her legacy in front of thousands. What happened in Atlanta wasn't just a playoff elimination. It was the end of an era and the brutal birth of a new one. Aliyah Boston didn't just beat Griner, she exposed every weakness, every limitation, and left the Phoenix Mercury star questioning if she should even continue playing. But here's what the mainstream media won't tell you about what really went down behind closed doors after that game. Before we dive into the shocking details, if you're enjoying this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe for more exclusive WNBA coverage that tells you what really happened. Not just what they want you to hear. The Indiana Fever just did the impossible. 6 players injured, no Caitlin Clark on the court, and they still demolished the Atlanta Dream in their own arena. Sophie Cunningham sidelined, Chloe Bibby watching from the bench. Sydney Colson, Ari McDonald, Damiris Dantas, all in street clothes. Half the roster was gone. Yet somehow they're heading to the semifinals for the first time in nearly a decade. The last time Indiana won a playoff series, most of these players were still in high school. But what happened to Brittney Griner during this series goes way deeper than just losing basketball games. Game 3 told the entire story in 40 minutes of pure dominance. Griner managed just 4 points. 4. This is a player who averaged double digits her entire career, who was supposed to be the unstoppable force in the paint. Instead, she got benched in an elimination game. Her own coach didn't trust her when it mattered most. Sources close to the team are now revealing that Griner broke down in the locker room afterward, telling teammates she felt like she let everyone down. The exact words she used were devastating. She said it was all her fault, and that she couldn't give herself grace no matter how hard she tried. But that wasn't the whole story of how Aliyah Boston systematically dismantled everything Griner built over 15 years. Boston finished with 14 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. Those 6 assists are crucial because they show something Griner never developed, the ability to make everyone around her better when the defense collapses. With 7.4 seconds left in the game, Boston hit the shot that ended Atlanta's season and possibly Griner's career as we know it. The way she positioned herself, the footwork, the confidence, it was everything Griner used to be but hasn't been for the past 2 seasons. What makes this even more shocking is how Boston approached the defensive matchup. She didn't chase blocks or try to embarrass Griner with highlight plays. Instead, she used subtle positioning to push Griner off her spots, forced uncomfortable fadeaways, and made the veteran look completely lost. By the third quarter, you could see Griner's body language change. The frustration was visible. She was arguing with refs about calls that weren't even close. She was hanging her head after missed shots. This wasn't just losing. This was watching your entire identity as a player crumble in real time. The numbers expose just how dramatic this fall has been. Griner's playoff averages used to terrify opponents. Consistent double-doubles, elite shooting percentages, dominant defensive stats. This series, she had one game with just 2 points and 2 rebounds. 2 points from someone who was supposed to be the best center in the league. Meanwhile, Boston is putting up performances that look like prime Griner from 10 years ago, except better because she's adding playmaking that Griner never had. What happened next would shock everyone who thought this was just about one bad series. Reports from Phoenix suggest Griner has been having serious conversations about her future. The word retirement keeps coming up in team meetings. She's 34 years old, has been through more off-court drama than any player should endure, and now she's watching someone 13 years younger do everything she used to do, but better. The psychological impact of being benched in an elimination game while your replacement dominates can't be understated. But here's where it gets really interesting. Kelsey Mitchell dropped 22 points in that elimination game, her first playoff series win ever. Lexi Hull, who most fans couldn't name 6 months ago, made crucial plays down the stretch. The Fever weren't just winning without their stars, they were thriving. The crowd at Gateway Center Arena was split, but by halftime, you could hear more Fever fans than Dream supporters. In an elimination game, on the road. That energy fed the players. And even from the bench, Caitlin Clark never stopped being the best teammate, rallying the troops and acting like another coach. The contrast between how each team handled adversity tells you everything about where this league is heading. Atlanta had the healthier roster, home court advantage, and supposedly more experience. But when the pressure mounted, they folded. Griner couldn't deliver. Their role players disappeared. Meanwhile, Indiana's depleted roster played like they had nothing to lose and everything to prove. That's the difference between a team stuck in the past and one building for the future. Sources inside the Dream organization are now revealing there were concerns about Griner's conditioning and focus all season. She missed practices, seemed distracted during film sessions, and teammates noticed she wasn't putting in the extra work that made her dominant years ago. Some are saying the physical tools are still there, but the mental edge is completely gone. When you've been at the top for so long and suddenly you're getting dominated by players who grew up watching you, that psychological hit is devastating. The coaching decisions tell another story entirely. Stephanie White trusted her young core completely, never wavering even when they were down 6 players. She put the ball in Boston's hands with the game on the line. She let Mitchell create. She believed in players who had never won a playoff game before. On the other side, the Dream's coach pulled Griner when they needed her most. That decision speaks volumes about where each franchise sees their future. But that wasn't even the most controversial part of what went down. During the fourth quarter, there was an altercation between Boston and Ryan Howard that the cameras barely caught. Officials had to separate them, and both benches cleared. What started it? Boston had just blocked Howard's shot and apparently said something that set Howard off. The exact words haven't been confirmed, but teammates later said Boston was letting everyone know this was her time now, not theirs. That kind of confidence from a second-year player against established veterans shows how quickly the power dynamics are shifting. The financial implications are massive, too. Griner's max contract with Phoenix runs through 2026, but if she retires or significantly declines, that's dead money affecting their salary cap. Meanwhile, Boston is still on her rookie deal, providing elite production at a fraction of the cost. Indiana can build around her, add pieces, and create a dynasty, while other teams are stuck paying aging stars who can't deliver when it matters. What makes Boston's dominance even more impressive is that she's doing it without the supporting cast that Griner had during her peak years. No Diana Taurasi setting her up, no elite point guard making her job easier. Boston is creating her own shots, making plays for others, and anchoring the defense simultaneously. She's not just replacing Griner as the league's best center, she's redefining what the position can be. The reaction from other players around the league has been telling. Several veterans have privately admitted they're concerned about their own futures after watching what Boston did to Griner. If someone with Griner's resume can be exposed and benched like that, what does it mean for players with less accomplished careers? The young generation isn't just coming, they're already here and taking over. Social media exploded after the game, with fans calling for Griner to retire with dignity rather than continue getting embarrassed. The hashtag passing of the torch trended for hours. Former players were split, some defending Griner and blaming the coaching, others saying it's natural evolution and she needs to accept it. Charles Barkley even weighed in, saying what happened to Griner happens to every great player eventually, but rarely this publicly and brutally. The advanced statistics paint an even clearer picture. Boston's player efficiency rating in the series was nearly double Griner's. Her true shooting percentage was elite, while Griner's dropped to career-worst levels. The plus-minus differential when they were on the court at the same time was shocking. Boston was plus 18, Griner was minus 21. These aren't just bad numbers, they're catastrophic for someone who's supposed to be a franchise player. But here's what nobody's talking about: the psychological warfare Boston employed throughout the series. She studied hours of film on Griner's tendencies, knew exactly where she liked to catch the ball, and took those spots away before Griner could even get there. She'd bump Griner just enough to throw off her timing, but not enough to draw fouls. She'd talk to her during free throws, get in her head about missed shots. This wasn't just physical dominance, it was mental destruction. The Indiana organization knew exactly what they had in Boston when they drafted her. They've been building around her since day one, and this playoff run validates everything. With Caitlin Clark running the show when healthy and Boston dominating inside, they have the foundation for the next decade. Add in Mitchell's scoring, Sophie Cunningham's energy when she returns, and the development of role players, and you're looking at a potential dynasty. Meanwhile, Phoenix faces impossible decisions. Do they try to trade Griner while she still has some value? Do they let her retire and eat the contract? Do they try to rebuild on the fly? The franchise that's been a perennial contender suddenly looks lost, and it all started with one young player exposing their biggest star as washed. The most damning evidence came from Griner's own post-game interview. She could barely get through it without breaking down. She talked about letting everyone down, about not being able to give herself grace, about feeling like it was all her fault. These aren't the words of someone who thinks they can bounce back. These are the words of someone who knows their time is over. The emotion was raw, real, and honestly hard to watch. What happened next behind closed doors was even more revealing. Team sources say Griner met with Mercury management immediately after returning to Phoenix. The meeting lasted 3 hours. While no official decisions were made, the fact that it happened at all tells you where things are heading. Players don't have 3-hour meetings about their future if they're planning to come back stronger next season. Boston, meanwhile, is already back in the gym preparing for the semifinals. No celebration, no satisfaction with just making it this far. She posted a simple message on social media. Job's not finished. That's the mentality of someone who knows they're just getting started. The hunger, the drive, the refusal to be satisfied, it's everything Griner had 15 years ago but lost somewhere along the way. The broader implications for the WNBA are massive. If established stars can be replaced this quickly and decisively, it changes how teams approach roster building. Why pay max contracts to aging veterans when you can draft and develop young talent that's hungrier and more versatile? Boston isn't just better than current Griner, she might be better than peak Griner ever was. Former coaches are now coming forward saying they saw this coming. Griner's lateral movement had declined. Her conditioning wasn't where it needed to be. She was relying too much on reputation rather than actual performance. But nobody wanted to say it publicly because of her status in the league. Boston didn't care about any of that. She just went out and proved it on the court, where it matters. The Fever's injury situation makes this even more remarkable. They literally didn't have enough healthy players for a full practice, yet they eliminated a supposedly superior team. That's coaching, culture, and young players who believe they can beat anyone. It's the exact opposite of Atlanta's approach, where they relied on experience and reputation instead of hunger and effort. If you think this breakdown was revealing, make sure you're subscribed because what happens next in this story is going to shake the entire league. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exclusive report. The question now isn't whether Griner is done, it's how quickly other veterans will follow her path. Boston just showed the entire league that reputation means nothing if you can't perform when it matters. She exposed the harsh reality that Father Time is undefeated. And in professional sports, the young and hungry will always eventually overtake the established and comfortable. What we witnessed wasn't just a playoff upset. It was a public execution of an era, broadcast live for everyone to see. And Aliyah Boston was the one holding the sword.